Behind a mask of charm and intellect lay a darkness that would haunt America for decades. This is the chilling story of Ted Bundy. He was the handsome stranger, the law student, the neighbor. But in the shadows of the night, he became something entirely different. Born in Burlington and raised in Tacoma, his early years appeared idyllic. Yet, beneath the surface of this typical mid-century upbringing, secrets were brewing. At the University of Washington, he was an honors student, active in politics. To his peers, he was a man destined for greatness. But his private world was filled with grim fascinations. He consumed crime magazines and harbored a growing voyeuristic compulsion that he kept hidden. The Pacific Northwest provided a perfect, gloomy backdrop for his transition from a student to a predator. Fog and rain masked his movements. Crucial to his spree was his 1968 tan Volkswagen Beetle. It was a common car, yet it became a symbol of impending dread. Bundy mastered the art of deception. He would often wear a fake cast or use crutches, appearing vulnerable to lure kind-hearted victims. He preyed on the charitable instincts of young women, turning a request for help into a nightmare near university campuses across the region. His trail of terror expanded rapidly. From Washington to Utah, and eventually Colorado, the sheer scale of his crimes began to emerge. Law enforcement struggled to connect the dots. The killer was a chameleon, changing his appearance and crossing state lines with ease. In Utah, he was finally caught during a routine traffic stop. Inside his Beetle, police found tools of a dark trade: masks, ropes, and handcuffs. But Bundy was not easily contained. His arrogance and intelligence led him to orchestrate 2 daring escapes from custody. He jumped from a courthouse window in Colorado and later tunneled through the ceiling of his jail cell, vanishing into the night. He fled to Florida, where his final, most brutal acts occurred. The Chi Omega sorority house became a scene of absolute devastation. Forensic science was in its infancy, but a unique piece of evidence would prove his undoing: a bite mark left at the scene. The trial that followed was a media circus, the first televised murder trial in history. Bundy reveled in the national spotlight. Acting as his own lawyer, he treated the proceedings like a performance, charming the public while facing the death penalty. Even in the face of his horrific crimes, he attracted a bizarre following. Women sent him fan mail, fascinated by his dark charisma. Psychologists used terms like hybristophilia to explain the attraction. He was a master manipulator, even from behind bars. During his years on death row, he maintained his innocence until the very end, playing a final game with investigators. Only days before his execution, he finally began to confess. He spoke of necrophilia and the heinous nature of his acts to Agent Bill Hagmaier. The details he revealed were more terrifying than anyone had imagined, confirming the existence of a true monster. His legacy lived on through literature and film. Anne Rule's The Stranger Beside Me remains a definitive look at the man she once knew. In the modern era, documentaries like The Ted Bundy Tapes continue to analyze his psyche, trying to find answers that may never come. On January 24, 1989, the state of Florida prepared for the final chapter of Ted Bundy's dark journey. The electric chair, known as Old Sparky, stood waiting. It was the end of the road for the man who had evaded justice for so long. Crowds gathered outside the prison, celebrating as the news of his execution was announced to the world. Ted Bundy's story remains a haunting warning. It reminds us that evil does not always look like a monster. Sometimes it wears a smile. The shadows he left behind still linger, a dark legacy of a man who hid behind the mask of normalcy, fading to black.